For decades, the Iranian regime had a secret buried hundreds of feet underground, carved deep into the mountains and islands of its southern coastline, hidden from satellites, hidden from spies, hidden from the world. Thousands of missiles, hundreds of drones, entire launch complexes, command centers, surveillance nodes, all of it invisible, all of it irreplaceable. Iran called these their missile cities, and they believed that as long as those subterranean fortresses were intact, no American president would dare push them too far. As it turns out, they were wrong. Dead wrong. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, helping to make sense of the madness with breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. What I want to do here is pull back the curtain on the events of the last several days in the Persian Gulf, because I think most people, even most people following this closely, don't yet fully grasp what's really happening here. In fact, what just happened is potentially one of the most consequential military and strategic events in decades. First and foremost, you need to understand what Iran was actually sitting on. The regime did not spend the last 2 decades building a conventional military. They knew they couldn't win a conventional war against the United States, so instead, they went underground, literally. Iran constructed what their own commanders brag about as missile cities, enormous tunnel networks carved out of bedrock, hundreds of feet beneath the surface of their southern coastline. Think of it like a subterranean fortress grid stretching from Bandar Abbas, their primary naval base on the Strait of Hormuz, out to Qasem Island, Iran's largest island sitting right in the middle of the Persian Gulf. Inside those tunnels, thousands of missiles stored vertically in hardened silos, anti-ship cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, suicide drones, fast attack boats, all ready for rapid deployment. These weren't improvised weapons dumps. These were purpose-built military installations designed specifically to survive an American bombing campaign. And for years, the strategy was working, because you can't bomb what you can't see. Now, fast forward to the last several days, and here's where the story gets absolutely extraordinary. Just days ago, the United States sent 3 guided missile destroyers, the USS Truxtun, the USS Rafael Peralta, and the USS Mason, on what was called Project Freedom, right? An escort mission through the Strait of Hormuz. But what a number of analysts and military observers were noting was that the guided missile destroyers were actually setting a deliberate trap for the regime. 3 destroyers bristling with Aegis combat systems, missile interceptors, artillery, helicopters, and every electronic sensor known to man. And Iran took the bait. According to CENTCOM, Iranian forces launched a massive combined attack, missiles, drones, small boat swarms, against all 3 American destroyers simultaneously. Unfortunately for them, to no avail. Every single threat was neutralized. Every missile, every drone, every fast attack boat, all of it knocked down, shot down, scattered. CENTCOM confirmed in their official release not a single U.S. asset was struck. President Trump put it more colorfully. He said the Iranian drones fell like a butterfly dropping to its grave. But it was then when the United States actually went hunting. In retaliation for the Iranian attack on American warships, U.S. forces carried out precision strikes on Bandar Abbas and Qasem Island, hitting missile launch sites, drone hubs, command and control centers, and surveillance nodes. Remember, because of our radar technology, our satellite technology, every time Iran launches an attack, we're able to immediately detect where that attack is being launched from and take that location out permanently. And as it turns out, Iran used those hidden underground launch complexes to attack the destroyers. And in doing so, they revealed them. Every radar track, every missile trajectory, every drone flight path, it was all data. And once the U.S. had that targeting data, those irreplaceable underground missile cities had a very short shelf life. So Iran has no navy anymore. They've got no air force. They've got no conventional military to speak of after Operation Epic Fury. All they had left were these hidden launch systems. And now we know where they are. And we've targeted them accordingly. And then, just when you thought the story couldn't get more extraordinary, the Wall Street Journal dropped a bombshell revelation this week. The UAE, the United Arab Emirates, secretly carried out its own military strikes in Iran. According to the journal, Emirati forces covertly struck Iran's oil refinery on Lavon Island in the Persian Gulf in early April, right around the time Trump announced the initial ceasefire. The strike triggered a massive fire that knocked the refinery offline for months. And here's the strategic significance. When you've got the UAE actively striking Iranian infrastructure in a covert war, the Gulf states are no longer passive spectators in this conflict. They are now participants. They have skin in the game. They are fighting for their own survival, and that changes the entire equation for Tehran. They have literally lost their total capacity to project power, all the while now rival regional powers are starting to actively attack them. But if you can believe it, this is all just the beginning of Iran's problems. We're about to see how things have gone from bad to worse for the regime. Did you know that about 1 in 5 Americans live with chronic pain that won't go away? For many, the advice is always the same. Manage the symptoms with pills, injections, or quick fixes instead of addressing what's actually causing the pain. And the daily cost of pain isn't just physical. It affects your mobility, your work, your energy, your overall joy. Over time, it quietly limits how you live. That's why innovations like TheraBlue from my friends over at the wellness company really matter. TheraBlue isn't just another topical cream that sits on the surface. It's a next-generation peptide gel designed to work at the cellular level, where inflammation and tissue stress actually begin. It uses advanced molecular delivery technology to help key ingredients penetrate deeper into muscles and connective tissue. Its formula includes compounds like GHK copper peptide, which supports tissue repair and collagen production, along with NAD+ support for cellular energy and recovery. It also contains methylene blue, known for supporting mitochondrial function, plus natural anti-inflammatory ingredients like turmeric and arnica and MSM and white willow bark. The result is fast-absorbing, non-greasy comfort that doesn't just numb the area, but supports your body's own recovery process over time. No pills, no injections, no harsh chemicals. If you're dealing with muscle pain, joint discomfort, or ongoing inflammation, this is worth a look. Visit twc.health/Turley. That's twc.health/Turley and use code Turley to take 15% off TheraBlue, a next-generation pain-relieving gel from the Wellness Company. There are two interrelated dynamics occurring at the very same time here. You've got the military side of things, but you also have the money side of things. The U.S. naval blockade has been squeezing Iranian oil exports for weeks now. The maritime analytics firm Vortexa reported Iran's oil exports were cut by over 80% compared to pre-war levels. Again, that's an 80% cut in an economy that was already on the brink of collapse before the first bomb fell. Iran produces somewhere between 2 to 3.5 million barrels of oil per day. That's the lifeblood of the entire regime. That's their cash flow, their ability to pay the IRGC, their ability to fund Hezbollah and the Houthis, their ability to keep the lights on. All of it flows from oil revenue. And now that revenue has essentially stopped. They're losing an estimated $500 million a day. And there's a fascinating technical angle here as well. Heavy crude oil has to keep flowing, or it literally starts to congeal in the pipelines. The longer Iran can't export, the more their own production infrastructure starts backing up and breaking down. Their onshore storage is filling up. Their tankers are anchored with nowhere to go. So all of this is working against Iran as they play the delay game. You see, Iran's strategy here is to try to wait Trump out, to keep him bogged down in the Persian Gulf and Hormuz until the midterms, where he'll suffer politically because of out-of-control gas prices. But the problem is that that's not happening. The Dow Jones has surged 600 points. The S&P and NASDAQ have hit new highs. Oil, which everyone predicted would hit as high as $150 a barrel, is sitting at $95 today, only $15 above where it was the day Trump took office. Uncomfortable for sure, no question, but it's not a crisis. Jobs reports crushed expectations, coming in at 110,000 new jobs when analysts predicted only half of that, about 50,000. Wall Street looked at the Iran conflict and said, it's not chaos, it's actually an opportunity. So where do things stand right now? Well, Trump called the ceasefire on life support just this week after rejecting Iran's latest negotiating proposal as only Trump can say it, a piece of garbage. He said he wouldn't even finish reading it. And the core deadlock, when all said and done, is that the United States is demanding Iran completely give up its nuclear enrichment program. He has to. That is exactly what Iran has to do. If Iran gets the bomb, then they will forever have control over Hormuz, and tacitly, China will forever have control over Hormuz because China finances Iran. They buy up 80% of their oil. So they're going to have to give up their nuclear enrichment program. They're going to have to hand over stockpiles of highly enriched uranium, and they're going to have to allow inspections anywhere, anytime. Iran has thus far to agree to that. That's the gap. But what's so interesting here is that both sides are actually up against time constraints, but in different ways. Iran is losing $500 million a day. It's got no Navy, no Air Force, and now a compromised underground missile network. Trump has the midterms in November, and he wants a strong economy to campaign on. But here's the twist that's working in Trump's favor. The American economy is actually performing far better than anyone predicted during this war. So the midterm constraint may be less binding than originally thought, which means Trump may have more time than Iran does. And that is a very dangerous thing to be on the wrong side of. So the basic calculus that Tehran has relied on has shifted. So for decades, Iran's strategy rested on a simple bet that the United States would eventually blink, that we'd rather accept a bad deal rather than endure the costs of prolonged pressure, that our economy was too fragile, our politics too divided, our president too calculating, call their bluff. But now, with 3 destroyers sailing through an intact Strait of Hormuz, with precision strikes on Iran's last remaining missile cities, with the UAE conducting a shadow war and a 600-point Dow jump, with all of that, the bet is looking pretty bad. Iran's underground arsenal, the thing they built over decades, the irreplaceable infrastructure they believe made them untouchable, is now known, targeted, and increasingly degraded. And with every passing day, the regime itself only grows weaker, both militarily and economically, all the while Trump and U.S. forces grow stronger. That is not a calculus that Iran can win. Gang, if you love what we're building here, now's the time to show it. Scan the QR code and visit the Turley Talks merch store for gear made for courageous patriots who stand for faith, family, and freedom.